Welcome to episode 526 of the Autoblog Podcast. I'm Greg Migliore. This is John Snyder.
Hello.
Got a great show coming up for you today. We're going to jump right into it. Now, we usually start off with the news section. We've got some updates of our own today. Lots of stuff going on here at Autoblog. We're pretty excited. Yeah. We've got some consumer stuff that we think you're going to find interesting. If you're a fan of the Spend By Money segment coming up later, you know, this consumer stuff could really help you out. We had a couple stories that have rolled out this week on the site. Very timely stuff about how to avoid buying a flood car. That's written by our managing editor, Greg Rasa. Really good read.
Yeah, and there's a lot more than just about cars themselves. We talk about different products. I've got a child car seat review coming up. So as one of the few dads on Autoblog, that was sort of within my wheelhouse. It was fun to write, surprisingly, but they're a hard thing to pick out. But yeah, this consumer content will be helpful.
Cool.
Sure.
Good to hear. There's also on our site this morning a good piece by Joel Stocksdale about why you have to test drive your car. You can't just look up stuff. You got to take it all, get it on your phone, and then go to the dealership and really get a test drive. Good story about how his parents thought they wanted a Honda Fit and they ended up getting a Mazda 3. So you got to drive it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've changed my mind there in the car on test drives. You know, whenever I'm buying a car, pretty much that's where I actually make my decision.
Absolutely. And coming up in the next couple weeks, we're going to roll out a new car finder on our site. It's really cool. You got to check it out. We don't want to let too much out of the bag, but trust me, it's going to be worth your time. It's going to really help you make good decisions for your next car. So moving along, let's talk about what's going on in the car world. Lots of cool stuff going on. We'll lead off with the Porsche Mission E Pricing. Really, that's really interesting. They're going to look at $80,000 to $90,000 price points, which could give some people pause whether cross-shopping this with the Teslas.
Yeah, it's interesting to think, you know, if you're going to spend about $90,000 on a car, an electric car, do you want a Tesla or do you want a Porsche? A lot of you probably have that answer in your head right now, and it's really interesting to think about. The Mission E, Porsche's really excited about it. They say it's going to really have Porsche DNA built into it, so it could be a pretty good competitor for Tesla.
This, kind of riffing off that BMW electric concept that we saw at Frankfurt last week. It basically kind of previewed what will be the i5. My point for that car was, also look out, Tesla. You guys don't just own the space anymore. You're on notice. Like, the established car companies are turning things around, and they're making some pretty compelling electric products.
And they're bigger than Tesla, too. So.
And they make more money.
Yeah, they've got a lot of weight to throw around. So
it's cool. I mean, I think the brand of Tesla is very strong. Like, there's some people who, for them, they want a Tesla. It's like the iPhone. There's nothing else will do. But if you're perhaps you're more of a traditional car buyer, you're going to say, well, wait a minute, I could get an electric BMW or a Porsche or a Chevy, like a Chevy Bolt.
Right.
Maybe you keep a more open mind.
Yeah. So 80,000 to 90,000 about is what the Mission E is going to start at. And it'll have about 300 miles of range. And it's going to have really quick recharging, too. So that's another thing. They're expecting it to be capable of 350 kilowatt charging, which could charge it 200 miles in about 15 minutes. So
that's remarkable.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That makes it competitive too if they build out their infrastructure.
That's the key right now, I think, especially for electricity, but also like fuel cells, which are farther out, is the infrastructure. If you could get that, you could make it affordable, accessible. In the case of this Porsche, make it very time efficient. Make it fast. That's what's going to get consumers to want to, adopt these vehicles into their daily lives.
Right. And even if they don't think they need, even if they think they need the infrastructure, they probably won't use it as much as they think they will. But that's really the barrier to getting people over this fear of taking long trips in their EVs.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. Moving along here, we had some other interesting news going from the Frankfurt Motor Show to the Tokyo Auto Show coming up later this fall. Mazda Rotary Concept. This is a cool looking thing.
It should be interesting. I mean, we haven't seen a rotary car on the road for a little bit now.
RX-8 was the last one.
Yeah, and it had its problems, and it had its cult following too. The RX-8 I actually thought was a really great car to drive.
Absolutely.
But there's problems with rotary. It's not super efficient. They have reliability issues. They burn oil. So Joel had this really sort of neat thinking. Why doesn't Mazda include hybrid technology, sort of make up for the low end torque and create a little bit more efficiency? I think that would be a good combination. I don't know that Mazda's going to do that, but that would be a smart move for them.
I think the fact that they're rolling this out as a concept, they're doing it at basically their home auto show. They want to create some buzz and demonstrate to the world that they're thinking about this type of technology. And what better way to do it than in one of your signature old technologies? Using the rotary concept.
Right. I mean, Mazda's famous for it. I'm a little skeptical that it's actually going to, make its way into a consumer car, though. I just think that technology, unless there's some breakthrough that they've made that we don't know about, it's just, too old. It's just a dinosaur at this point.
It's, I think VW did a similar play here, although it looks like they're going to pull it off with the bus. They're going to bring it back in 2020, somewhere in that time frame, and it's going to be an electric car. And a lot of people said, well, hey, that thing's done. You'll never build another one of those. But hey, take your modern technology, put it in a retro package, and you could get a lot of different parts of your fan base engaged.
Yeah, if they could somehow get those rotary fans into something efficient and modern, if they figured out how to package it that way, it might work.
Sure. So you're going to Tokyo, right?
I am. Yep.
Excited?
I am, yeah.
It's a great motor show. I've been one time. I think you'll love it.
And there's going to be a lot of cool stuff there, as we're finding out.
So come back to Autoblog the next few weeks. We're going to have lots of Tokyo coverage. We'll have a video team there. John's going to be there on the ground, bringing you all the latest news. They are, I believe, 12 hours ahead of us. So we'll be on top of things, but it's going to be probably a few sleepless mornings, afternoons sort of thing.
Yeah,
but,
it'll be interesting.
Should be cool. One other thing, boy, this is really a green week. Good thing we have the editor of Autoblog Green on with us, Mitsubishi Evo Electric. Talk about old school technology or old school, models with new technology.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing here.
It should be interesting. Don't know how the purists are going to feel about it, but I mean, it's called the evolution. It should probably evolve. So I think I don't know about the crossover part of the formula, but I think the electric part is definitely, you have to evolve, and electric mobility is like the next step for all these automakers, as we saw at Frankfurt too.
My take on this one is they're basically taking their best forward-looking technology, which is going to be electrics, and I think if they could, get to be known for that in the United States, that could really reestablish them as a brand in a good way here in America. And they're going to make it a crossover because that's what people want, or at least hypothetically. Yeah. And they're putting their best name that people recognize on it. So to me, it's like they're not really overthinking it. They're literally putting their best foot forward, and they're not worrying about what traditionalists are going to think. They're not worrying about what the Evo used to mean.
Right.
They're just like, this is what the best we could do. This is going forward. Let's roll it up and do it. Yeah,
I'm interested to see how it's received. I'm interested to see the full car too. That teaser image is pretty interesting. So I'm hoping that we'll see more before the show. But either way, it's gonna be really fun to watch and see how this rolls out and what people actually think of it and what comes of it afterwards in terms of production.
I really, just total tangent here, I loved driving the old Evo.
Oh,
remember those cars were just so much fun. I mean,
yeah, as a Subaru WRX owner, I did love the Evo too. It was awesome in the snow. Fun to shift. I love those big paddles. Great car.
It was so severe. It was one of the better press cars you could get because,
Yeah.
you would burn through like a quarter tank of gas, like driving short distances, Same with the RX-8, actually, too. That was another ultimate press car.
Yeah.
But, interesting former press cars with, cool stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully these will be as good as those, and that I'll want to, take the long way to work with them, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay tuned. Again, come back to Autoblog for all of our Tokyo coverage. It's going to be, it already is shaping up to be a green show. I'm trying to figure out if any auto shows aren't green anymore.
Right.
But I'd like to see just like a hot rod show at this point. What is that, SEMA probably now?
Yeah, SEMA.
So, be sure to stay with us for that. But right now we're going to do a little bit of a kind of a pit stop here. Our intrepid senior producer, Chris McGraw, and another one of our producers, Alex Malberg, they're in Iceland right now, having an awesome time. They're going to come back with some spectacular video, and we are going to go to Chris. So check out what he's doing. It's pretty cool.
Hey guys, we're here in Iceland. We're in a town called Vik, and let's check out our camper van. This is what we've been staying in our entire time that we've been here. You probably heard our first van totally died on us yesterday. We were stuck at the side of the road for 18 hours. This is van number 2. It's identical to the first van in every way except for one. This one runs. So yeah, come on and check it out. I'll give you a brief tour. All right, so this is where we've been living while we've been in the country. We've got a bed up here. This seat lies flat to become a bed. We have storage under here. This is our kitchen. We got some our laptop on the kitchen counter here. Refrigerator, running water. This is our thermostat. All this stuff is hooked up to a separate battery, so that way it doesn't suck the battery that starts the car. We got another seat right here that folds down. Just pop that out so you can just sit down. It's been pretty good, other than the fact that our first van died on us. If you want to hear more about our trip, we're going to have some videos going up once we get back. So check them out. We'll have a lot more information on these camper vans and whether or not we'd recommend taking one on a trip through Iceland.
Thank you, Chris. Looks like he's having a great time. I wish I could be in Iceland.
I know. I've been pretty jealous of the photos and videos they've been sending over from there. It looks like a fun but kind of hectic trip for them. But it'll be cool to see what they come up with.
Bring back more good photos.
Yeah.
Last time I was in Reykjavik, the beer was literally $14 or something.
Wow.
Conversion. So it was expensive. Tourism is really booming there. People really want to go to Iceland.
Yeah.
It's a pretty short flight from the U.S., and it's cool, man. So, yeah, be safe, Chris. Moving along, though, what's in the fleet? Lots of cool stuff. You recently spent a night in the 2017 Chevy Tahoe Midnight Edition.
Yeah, it's not really my cup of tea, but I've been learning to sort of love these big burly SUVs and trucks a little bit more as we've been getting through the fleet. I think they've just been making them better, and this is a good example of something that Chevy's doing right. If you get inside the car and it doesn't feel cheap, it doesn't feel super plasticky. Everything's black, which feels pretty sporty. But yeah, everything is sort of laid out nicely too. I was kind of impressed with it.
I signed this car up for the weekend. I cannot wait. I am so psyched. This thing looks like a troop transporter, like an FBI
beast,
car.
yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Those wheels are mean looking.
Yes,
too.
yes.
Are you gonna put anything in it?
I don't know. So
Golf
here's
clubs?
probably golf clubs. I hope golf clubs. Maybe the dog. Don't tell Reese. Yeah, it's. I think I actually have driven this one before because we had basically this spec of a Tahoe come through this summer. I've got to believe there's only so many of these rolling around the fleet, but it was awesome. I got a speeding ticket in it. Sorry, whoops. And I went camping in the UP in it.
There you go.
There was literally no reason to take a tent. You
Yeah,
just put the seats down and you're good.
It's good for an adventure. You can go pretty far off into the wild with that one.
It's very capable. It's got the V8. It's this is a beast, and it looks good too. I think the latest generation of Tahoe is, before it was a little soft. I'm thinking probably more like 8-9 years ago. Not soft, but it was a little it was rounded. I guess is the way to put it. This is rough and tough SUV. This is steak medium rare.
It's macho for sure, and I think that's when Chevy does it right. it works really well, and they nailed it with this one.
Yeah, well said, well said. Another vehicle that we liked is the 2018 Audi RS3, kind of the different end of the spectrum. You could probably fit 2 or 3 RS3s in the Tahoe. I drove that last night, had a great time. It's, let's see, I got the spec sheet here if you're curious about how we spec out our cars here. This one came in at $62,000, $475, so not cheap.
No.
It's got the inline 5-cylinder, 400 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. It is just so much power.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. You're going to drive this later in the week?
I'm driving it tonight, actually. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I watched Reese's live drive on Facebook. And
check it out.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. If you have any questions, you can ask them there, and we will get back to you. People are asking how it compares to the Civic Type R. So I've driven that, and I will get back and let people know after I've driven this. So
what's the Civic Type R come in at, if you remember? Ballpark it?
34.
Interesting. Okay, so there's definitely like a value proposition going on here.
For
like,
sure.
As awesome as this car is, and like the RS lines of Audi, like the RS7, love that car. These are amazing, so much fun to drive, but they ain't cheap. These are expensive cars.
Yeah, but I mean, every Audi you get in, it's very neat, very clean. It's detail oriented without being overwrought, and I've always really liked the sort of luxury side of Audi. I think they do it really nicely.
Interior of this one is great. It's basically all black. There's some sort of like suede or crushed sort of soft material. A little bit of carbon inlays. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's just really, it's dark, it's sinister, but it also looks really nice.
Yeah, I like that blue color on the exterior too.
Total opposite. So inside it's all dark. Outside it's this bright blue, like in your face. It's got the crazy wheels, the skinny tires. The grille is outlined. It says Quattro on the front. Really cool car.
I'm going to be revving that one up when I pull into the driveway tonight, and the boy will be coming out and running, wanting to see the car for sure.
Be sure to put it in sport mode.
I will.
That's, you definitely go through the gas too. Like you go through a little bit of gas.
Yeah.
But fun car to drive. Sounds really good. The dynamics are really good too. That's something you can feel it. The steering is good. It's a tight car. Basically, the only like sort of negative thing I have to say is you have to kind of make that jump. Like at the core, it is an Audi A3. Do you essentially want to pay for a 62.4 A3? You know, that's a lot of money for what's essentially an A3.
Yeah, it would be hard to. There's so many other options around that price range. That's a very big ballpark right there. So. Yeah,
but I mean. On the other hand, if you need a small car, you want sort of the dynamics that a smaller car can offer. Why would you get, a larger car and pay more for it when, because, you move up the RS line, it gets, comparably more expensive. So
yeah, and this one, you could still fit a couple people in the back. I wouldn't maybe take anyone on a road trip back there, but you could take a couple people out to dinner back there, and and they'd be comfortable.
It's pretty durable. Like there's a lot of leather, but it's also not like the really like kind you're afraid to even like look at and scratch it.
Yeah.
My dog Blue was back there on a blanket really briefly, and she was comfortable, plenty of room. I don't know. We're gonna have to make this part of the testing of cars here at Autoblog. If you can sneak your golden retriever puppy into the back of a car and not leave a scratch or any fur, you can also use that as a data point.
Yeah, my dogs are probably too crazy for that.
What kind of dog do you have again?
I've got a Boston Terrier and then a Blue Heeler mix puppy.
So maybe not both of them in the RS3. Maybe not both of them. But, that's this week in the fleet and in Greg and John's dog life.
Yep.
We've got some cool video here that you're going to want to check out. Ford and Virginia Tech did a study basically on how people react to autonomous cars without people in them. It's pretty cool. We're just going to roll the clip, and then we'll explain a little bit more about what's going on here.
Brother, who are you? What are you doing?
pretty wild clip. It's really curious. I think as we go forward, this could be the new reality.
Yeah, got to figure out how cars can talk to people if there's no one in the car. So I think automakers are trying everything from subtle cues like the lights on that car there, but the Honda EV concept at Frankfurt had that little message. You could have it display whatever words you want it to. It's like get out of the way or whatever. But I think that it's a tricky thing having people and cars interact safely. So it's a big concern for people, but at least it's something that we're working on.
I love the suit. The guy's dressed up as like an empty seat, basically. Yep. I mean, Halloween is just around the corner. If that's what you want to go as.
Yep.
Your significant other could go as a crash test dummy, maybe?
Perfect.
I don't know.
Yeah. There you go. I think you're onto something.
There we go. I think I like the lights. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense to me.
It's subtle, but it gives you a sense of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or what the car is doing.
To touch on, the Honda point, that's also, I think, literally another sort of signage, tactic we could see going forward. Immediately when we saw that you could display messages on the car, we sort of, defaulted to humor. Like, well,
sure.
You're going to put, whatever you want on the front of your car, and maybe it won't be all that nice, or, you'll take shots at other drivers. I don't know. I digress. But practically, that's, cars and the technology that's sort of driving them will need ways to communicate.
Yeah, and I've seen concepts where the car actually has a grille that will light up with a smile, so it sort of make you feel good about the car too, but also lets you know that it sees you and that it's safe to cross. But yeah, the smile and other things to make it more approachable are definitely going to help.
And what happens if it's smiling as it runs you over?
Yeah, there you go.
That's just even more diabolical.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think, in the next probably 5 years, even sooner, we should be working on this now, there needs to come up with some sort of like national or international set of standards where every car, has this like universal method of communication with people, with the grid. So, it's like what a red light means now, what a stop sign means now.
Yeah, those are discussions that are being made at universities and, international research groups are working on that sort of stuff. So it's interesting to watch, but this is a perfect example of, where we are with this tech.
The grid is going to be, the infrastructure of the grid is really what's going to change the industry next. I think you're almost going to like the fuel or the propulsion system is going to be academic because I think in some ways every car is going to have some type of electrification. It'll just be, will it be a small sort of hybrid assist or will it be full on electric? Mm-hmm. And then it'll come down to the question of, okay, where are the refilling stations going to be, whether it's charging fuel or who knows, hydrogen or something. And then we're going to have these signs, the means of communication. So that's literally the next sort of the next barrier, the next frontier. The issue, I think, too, is that the technology is basically here. Mm-hmm. I mean, car companies could do this. I've driven in a bunch of cars, ridden in cars that have driven themselves. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. But the infrastructure is not there, and there probably won't be for some time.
Right. It's going to take a major overhaul to get cars talking to the roads and talking to each other. But they're working on it bit by bit. They just put in some V2I infrastructure down the road from us here on I-75.
That's right.
It's coming along.
It's getting there, and I think too there's going to be that consumer phase-in phase.
Yeah.
People have to embrace the disruption, and then the other thing too is exactly the part of this technology is it going to make their life better? Like if just change for change's sake, most people aren't going to go to that. Change has to improve their life or make it. It has to improve their life, plain and simple.
Well, I think there's tons of potential there, at least in terms of safety and productivity. But yeah, and mobility, people who normally wouldn't be able to drive, being able to get around. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to.
That's really exciting. Yeah. When you think of ways that could ease, some of the challenges that the senior population faces and other people who need cars to drive for them.
Yeah.
This is in many ways more practical. The way we drive in the United States, than just defaulting to like public transportation or other means of mass transportation.
Sure. Yeah, it'll definitely give people a lot of freedom to move around, and on their own schedule without having to wait for the bus or have reliability issues with public transit. So I'm hoping that it's a smooth transition though.
If you're curious also about more about autonomy, autonomous transportation, we had a great column recently, last couple days, from Doug Newcomb. He is one of our newer tech columnists. We hope you enjoy reading his stuff. His day job is he's with the C3 Report. You got to go to our site, check it out. He had a good one about how autonomy could actually increase alcoholism.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would probably just take a nap in the car. But if you want to learn more about the video we just saw, we've got an Autoblog Minute video on it that goes into deeper detail about it.
Check it out. Good stuff. So we are going to move on to, let's see, one of our final steps. Here we go. Spend my money. It was on the bottom of the deck. Definitely one of the most popular parts of the podcast. It's a little long here. Stay with us. Lots of cool stuff here, though. There's some intrigue going on. The writer says their current family car is a 2012 Dirty Diesel VW TDI Sport Wagon. Look out. Mm-hmm. We're trading it in through the buyback program. Probably a good move. Just as I thought the easy replacement choice was a new gas-powered VW All-Track. Let's see. His wife says, what if we got something a little bit bigger, meaning something that can more comfortably fit 3 people in the back in a pinch? The Sport Wagon and the All-Track is actually pretty tight in the rear passenger area, he reports. Let's see, they both like having a wagon that's more car-like. I think we generally defer that way, too, here at Autoblog.
Sure.
It's fun, more fun to drive. Mm-hmm. But they're more open to CUV-style vehicles. Let's see, his wife likes the CR-V, that's a Honda, for its practicality. But they both agree it's kind of ugly. I don't know, I like it. And they don't like CVTs. Fair point. Mm-hmm. They love the new V90 and the XC60, but they're too expensive. The budget we're talking about here is $35 to $40K. You can get a lot of stuff for that, though.
Sure.
So he's currently thinking about the new Tiguan with the third row, the BMW X1, Mazda CX-5, possibly with that upcoming diesel, and the Ford Escape. He's also intrigued by the upcoming Buick Tour X. That's basically the Regal. Kia Niro, maybe some green car thoughts there, although it's probably too small, and I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And just wrapping it up here, if we go pre-owned, they might consider a Disco Sport or a Q5. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Car doesn't need to be a sports car, speed demon. Okay, so that probably rules out the demon. Don't want to be bouncing around in a giant, slow 4x4 either. His daily driver is a Mini Cooper S, so that's kind of what he likes. Here's his desirable options: adaptive cruise control, CarPlay, and a panoramic roof. Mm-hmm. Can you help him find the unicorn in this sort of amazing conundrum he's facing? P.S. No minivans.
No minivans. Why am I hating on minivans? I think they're pretty. Well, I'm a dad too, but yeah, that's a tough one. That's you got some good choices on the list though. My first thing on here that I'm leaning toward is the Mazda CX-5. I really like that car, and I'm intrigued as to what it's going to be like with the diesel.
Me too.
Got to wait and test drive that one though. But and it should be coming soon.
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure when it's coming, but it's coming soon.
It's
so
like
it's not too
right on the horizon. If it's not even available now, because I feel like we heard about this a while. We've been hearing about this diesel for a while. That was actually going through your list of cars. That was the one that stuck out for me. It looks good. It's got nice handling. Handles better than most vehicles in that segment, and the interior's okay, I think.
Yeah, and the Mazdas, the sort of brand DNA, they're always entertaining to drive too. So if you like your Mini, you might like the Mazda sort of fun to drive DNA. I certainly do, and that's another reason why I would pick that one. That and fuel economy.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely I think the solid choice that sticks out. I would actually also look at the CR-V. I think it looks pretty good. I've driven it. It's a really nice vehicle. Interior's done pretty well.
I haven't driven it, but I hear from everyone who has, everyone else on the team, everyone really loves it. So it's just like a really solid vehicle.
I don't know. I kind of like how he randomly throws in a pre-owned Disco Sport.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would, if you're into that, check it out. See if you get a good deal. You need to get some low mileage on that. You
Yeah.
know, those discos, you want to watch them, let's put it that way. But that could be a really enjoyable one.
Of those two, my pick would be the Q5. I like the Q5. We talked about Audi
Sure.
earlier, and it's some of the same reasons that we like the RS3. I like the Q5. So it's worth looking at that one. Again, it's sort of fun to drive. It's sort of big, and I think it fits the bill pretty well here. But yeah, the CX-5. You know what? I like the Escape too, the Ford Escape. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I've driven it and I enjoyed it quite a bit actually. Might feel a little small, but yeah, CX-5 diesel.
So there you go. CX-5 diesel. I could go gas or diesel. Both are fine.
Yeah.
Q5, if you're going to go used, according to JBS, I'm going to stick with Disco. It's a party. At least check it out.
Yeah.
So
Fair
that's
enough.
Spend My Money. I think we have some good choices. As always, send those emails to us. We want it. We would love spending your money.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun. Please keep sending us these. Email us, tweet us, drop us a note on Facebook. Love to hear from you. Not just on Spend My Money, spend your money, spend our money.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you think of the podcast. If there's things you want us to talk about, other questions, please, reach out to us. We love hearing from you, the Autoblog reader, user, listener.
Yeah, and related to this, go read our consumer content, and of course, give us your ideas. It's always good to hear from the readers. You guys have great ideas, really good experience, So we love hearing from you in the comments, and I definitely think it helps out the other readers who are in these same situations.
Absolutely. Check it out. Consumer content, that Car Finder's on tap in just next few weeks. You can't wait to miss it. You can't afford to miss it. That's probably what I should say.
There you go.
So, he's John Snyder.
And he's Greg Migliore.
Thanks for watching, listening, enjoying the podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks.